So we started this without it being recorded.
No,
Oh,
the first laptop crashed,
oh,
so we haven't done that.
just want to make sure I didn't violate any law. Listen, that. Oh, well, that's true.
That was something.
Yes. All right. I'm lost. Any other discussion on the treasurer's report? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept?
Second.
There we go. Bill, Erica with a K. Any other discussion? Erica with a C's on it, not even here.
Yeah.
Right. All in favor? Opposed? So carried. All right. Palm Harbor Library monthly financials for May. Can I get a motion to accept? Erica, motion? Second. Would you pick which one? Bill?
Let's put Bill down.
Put Bill, okay. Any discussion? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Director's report. Take a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Second. Bill that time, yeah, just put Bill, it's always gonna be a either one. Matthew.
Few highlights. I'll ask Kathy Watts to update on summer reading registration, but first I'll mention on May 7th, we did, Palm Harbor Museum invited us to do a little history of the library. Well, we only have a written history up to 1988 when we moved into the building. We luckily had that based on a PhD project somebody did, but luckily I was able to invite our former director, Dean Capola, and Marissa Stoyer, who's on our team, who's been there for a long time, kind of piece things together, ask some people about, different events, and we're able to do sort of a snapshot history and a tour of the building. It was a very nice event and got some good practice because in a couple of years we have our 50th anniversary coming up. And so it was a very nice event, and I just wanted to really highlight it because it was nice. I think I gave out the little bags last month that we had given out to everybody who came. Kathy, if you want to mention summer.
Saturday, May 31st, we had our summer reading registration. Despite bad weather, we had over 100 parents come and register their children for summer. Pretty much fully booked, and it is busy at the library.
Very busy.
Really?
Which is how we like it.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead. I don't know if there's an appropriate time to mention this, but because I think we all mentioned it in our reports, but I'll go ahead and mention briefly that we were something actually you brought up last month, Dan, that we had been working on for several months. That Erica, who and myself and Lois and Mark worked with Nancy and the county and our mighty staff to figure out a way to get our county-owned buildings, of which there are several, part of that self-insurance policy that the county has, so that the insurance burden was lessened, and it was. It came through. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you to everybody who helped out with that, and the directors we all worked great together to try to figure out how to kind of counterbalance that along with our insurance agent with covering contents and the other sort of things that would not be covered by the county under that self-insurance policy. And overall, it's going to save us this year $100,000 almost. And that's broken up a little bit differently depending on what kind of stuff we have in our building and what we have to cover otherwise. But helps us do things like cost of living increases and technology upgrades. Obviously, we need a new laptop, and it's really a big victory and great teamwork from everybody involved. So I'm going first tonight, so I got the honor of sharing that first. And then let's see. I handed most of you a bookmark. If you didn't get one, let me know. But it's not the first event, but it's one of the early events for the centennial of Palm Harbor that we're doing at the Palm Harbor Library. Countdown to Palm Harbor is the night. The 15th, July 15th is the actual anniversary, and so we're going to have a great celebration that night from 5 to 6:30 p.m. There'll be some live music and hors d'oeuvres and wine and champagne and coffee and cake. And we'll also have a number of speakers, including people from the museum, and Commissioner Eggers will be there to read the proclamation that was issued by the county for the centennial. So please do join us that night if you can. And then let's see, I think those are kind of the main. Oh, we had a great write-up in the Beacon about our robotics team. And so check out that article when you have a moment. But I think those are the main highlights.
Excellent. We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion or questions for Matthew? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carries. Matthew, any old business? I don't think you have any.
No.
Any new business?
No.
No. Okay. East Lake Parks and Rec, Mark, monthly financials for May. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Or second.
I'll let you figure that one out. Any questions or concerns on the monthly financials? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Director's report. I get a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay, in a second. I'll do it this way. Any questions on the report? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Mark, what are your highlights? See, I did it the right way before I learned that.
Just a couple of highlights. We're developing a committee from both the East Lake advisory boards with the library and our park and rec, and we're organizing that. Bill's heading up a subcommittee with a couple of our advisory board members, and there'll be some folks from East Lake on that board too. So we're kind of just in the process of getting that all combined right now. And Lois has started a contest for the logo for that group. And so we have a meeting on Tuesday to discuss some of these things. That and we're planning an event for the fall at East Lake Rec. Not sure exactly what the details, but stay tuned.
It includes foam though, definitely foam.
She wants to.
Locally themed.
And Tuesday on this meeting, we'll also be discussing the joint newsletter, which we'll have a page or so on that. Matthew already mentioned about the combined effort with collaborating with the other entity directors, Nancy and Max from our insurance company and others about taking care of the insurance for the buildings. Well, that's really didn't save me much because I don't have any buildings. So
Yet.
You need to get a building.
which brought up a point at our advisory board meeting. And we discussed the possibility of maybe deeding over our main complex, which is owned privately by our advisory board, basically back to the county, so we could get possibly that coverage as well. So just in the discussion stages, just an idea.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it. Just a point of reference, none of the concession, buildings that, I don't know how they're characterized, but they're like out buildings are not county covered. So if, when the time comes and you get a facility that is funded, primarily by the county, that would be the kind of thing that would be under the county insurance.
Okay. So, other than that, we have a few more camps going this summer. Soccer camps, I think they'll be finishing up this week, hopefully. Our football 7-on-7 is starting. So I really need to get some people off of the grass so I can grow some grass. We've got some fields shut down, so we're doing some spot sodding right now and work on fields. And
I
then,
think the foam has some nutrients
It's,
in it.
it's perfectly safe for the turf. I would not
Organic.
dare do that after spending all that money on sod. It's, go online, go foam palooza. It is absolutely safe.
the other bad news that I had was the gopher tortoise survey was done and they found 70 burrows on.
I don't think it's.
Right. I didn't get ours.
We don't know about, there might not be any tortoises left by the time we do the next survey. That's right.
Just,
You never know what, there could something like.
being recorded, Mark, careful.
And I know, you know, be something.
That's an interesting, fact, because, the county's project is gonna go in before yours will. And they're gonna be disturbing.
And did they do a survey on that?
Not sure.
Oh.
They will do.
Think that's like it.
And should they are now. Yeah, right.
How do, gopher tortoises respond to foam?
Quite well.
They leave. No,
It's like skin.
let's find out.
So I've learned a lot about gopher tortoises recently. You know, they're a little bit endangered now, but they provide additional places for other critters to live through their burrows, so. That's,
We don't want the other.
no.
Probably endangered too.
So anyway, once,
It's a great place.
So we finished that, got the report done on that, so the next step is there'll be. We're applying for the type 2. What's it called, the type 2 application package to the county, and it's the next step forward, how we're moving along with the Meadows project. And that's it.
All right,
I have a question.
yes.
Mark, you explained to me the insurance part. So right now you don't have any buildings that are covered. Someone gets injured on,
Own liability,
so you have overall liability.
yes,
Is that something you're trying to get the county to cover?
no,
Does the county cover liability insurance on property? Just building, physical damage to property. Not liability.
so everything else, like our lights and our electrical stuff and. Anything like that, that's considered other, so that's that'd be like contents inside buildings, and that kind of falls into that category, so I pay insurance on all that. And that went up a little bit.
So your thought is if the county took the deed, that the buildings that are. that-
But according to Nancy, the only buildings I have right now are concession buildings and some storage buildings.
Any other questions? Also you're thinking a lot. Old business, you got new business though, you have some new business.
New
for us.
business, I'd like to purchase a new tractor. And my advisory board approved up to $45,000 towards a new tractor. We would like a new one that would have more horsepower and a newer model. And then we'd also like to, I'm paying for the bush hogging, the brush cutting out at the meadows. And this would save me a monthly fee on that as well. So I got some quotes here that I included in my package. Most of them are over the 45,000, but we'll also get a trade-in value of between $8,000 and $8,500 for a trade. So I'm asking that the board approve up to $45,000 for a tractor. Try and get two of them. They bring two of them in so I can check them out first to see if they work for bid, so. One of them is a John Deere and the other is a Kubota.
That's a big price difference.
Yeah, that's before the trade.
Right. But I'm saying the difference between the two is about $11,000 or 10.
So right now, I'm thinking of the Kubota right now, it's like a 52 horsepower. Right now, our tractor, our John Deere is at 40 horsepower. And then I also, for mowing and stuff, we'll have and we're getting a cab with air conditioning. So it would be a lot easier in the summer.
Make a motion to approve up to a $45,000 stronger horsepower tractor.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Other questions?
If I may,
Sure.
just, we had to have it mowed so they could do the gopher tortoise and do all that nonsense. One mow costs us $6,000. So if we mow the thing several times, we pay for the tractor ourselves.
No. I think it's great.
And that's not just the tractor, because there's some implements that we added on there too, to come
Correct.
to the 45,000. The cutter and the loader, forks. So,
So it'll be a multi-use machine, not just for
correct.
mowing. You'll be using it to be able to
Yeah,
upload
we need
items
it
to
for
move dirt.
materials.
Right, okay,
And it's gonna help for all sports.
right.
Because they all have pallet goods and things like that, so now we can move everything ourselves. We can with the smaller one, but we've had that, wasn't that?
You can't move a full pallet small with that tractor.
Does it tuck in the turf too? Like
We have-
replace the
Yeah.
divots?
We have a lean to.
That was the other thing.
All right, motion is second. Any other questions, comments, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
It is. Palm Harbor Parks and Rec. Monthly financials for May. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion in a second. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So carries. Director's report, Palm Harbor Parks and Rec. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Got different ones for you. I should keep my hand on his toes, I know. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Who's presenting, Stephen?
I guess me,
Eric? Oh, okay.
unless she chimes in.
Erica, do you want to present your report or you want Stephen to do it?
Stephen can do it.
Okay.
Just a couple things that she left out, and she likes to make sure everybody's aware of. The summer camp numbers, we have about 250 to 350 campers per week, and that's for all of the different camps. We have about 100 full-day camp adventure, which is our in-house camp. And then the rest of the camps are the multi-sports, baseball, gymnastics, different camps like that. We are about 5% away from matching last year's total, which we anticipate will pass that, because we are getting new signups every single day for more camps that we have very limited availability with. So we're happy about that. And lastly, probably the first time in at least a decade, maybe longer, that Palm Harbor Little League actually hosted some all-star softball games this week. And which is good for the local Little League because that draws other kids and other families to the area, and it actually helps their concession stand and their fundraising efforts that they have. So it's a win-win for us, because we get to showcase the fields and the updates that we've done to the fields, and then obviously they get the monetary kickback. That's it. For me, at least.
For you at least. Old business, you got none. New business, somebody wants another pickup truck.
Yes, so this one is going to replace a 2014 GMC that is on its last leg. We have been repairing it with numerous of different things. We've been calling in our part-time mechanic when he's available to try and fix what he can. Eric was able to get 2 quotes, and we actually went with, I believe it's Furman. They came in cheaper, and it's $43,091.05. And that will come with the spray and bed liner, DOT lights, the whole thing. But there's 2 quotes, one from Alan J, which is who we received the previous 2 F-250s from, and the Furman one, and they actually came in cheaper. And we're piggybacking on, I believe it is the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners contract with Furman.
Very good. Can I get a motion or any questions? Can I get a motion to approve the spending of the money?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
You want to put a number on it?
$43,091.05.
Very good. The motion, okay. Can I get a second?
Second at that exact number
Not 1 penny over.
or under. No, I remove that.
No, I'm joking. Any other discussion or questions?
We're not trading in the other.
We're gonna try and trade the whichever truck, yeah. Yeah.
This is a 2015.
We're replacing a 2014 GMC single cab on its last leg.
And what did you say the?
I don't know what for the new truck.
No, for
For the
what
trade-in?
you're gonna get for it.
I'm not sure.
Trading value.
Yeah, probably parts on this one, because I don't, they're, yeah.
10-year-old.
Yes.
Is there a question about the trade-in? It's
Yeah.
hard to hear.
Yes, yes.
So I spoke to the salesperson on Tuesday, and he's not seen the GMC, so he can't give me a number, but he will give us something for that, which is more than we get it if we try to sell it on the street. So we will trade it in. So no worries, Ron, we shouldn't be over that number.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carries.
The advisory board, I would assume this. Approved all this stuff, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Should ask the question. Thank you.
Actually, it was in the news.
Was it? Well, I see the quotes. I didn't see
Yeah.
that in the.
I know, I'm gonna make it come. And last but not least, the hostess. Whatever. It's Lois. East Lake Library, monthly financials for May. Can I get a motion? Motion in a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carries. Director's report. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second, yeah. Any questions before I have Lois go through it? No? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Highlights, Miss Lois.
Well, he also did summer registration, May 31st. I was fortunate enough to be the passport agent that day and did the passport appointments that Saturday. And I witnessed an amazing thing. And again, it was a horrible day with rain and such, and maybe that brought more people in, but it wasn't simply registering for programs. They had a full day celebration. And I thought it was amazing how they did it. The teen librarian was in the teen room with activities and such, signing the teens up, but also having activities for them to do. The adult librarian was in the hallway here, and she had programs and signups and all kinds of giveaways and such, and which was very smart, okay, because they had to come past her, it was like running the gauntlet to come into the community room where all of the children's registrations were going on. And she, wonderful salesperson, she got the parents to sign up for the adult reading club before they even got through to sign up their kids up for the children's reading clubs. Activities all day. We had a special guest. We had Ariel, the mermaid, show off. So it was quite a day. And they did, in one day, they signed up over 100 people for the summer reading clubs. And right now, I think we're over 250. And the programs are going great. We had several special events in May. We had the East Lake Nonprofits Open House. Very nice, and volunteer fair to try to promote, volunteerism for the different, nonprofit organizations in the East Lake area. It was wonderful networking. It was really nice because they were able to talk to each other, discuss similar issues and such. We also had, CNCN hosted the Commissioners Forum here, and, I never miss an opportunity to stand up in front of an overcrowded community room and say, see, this is why we need a bigger building. And it was over 100 people. It was great, mostly Tarpon Woods, with their two major concerns, of course, the flooding and the sale of the golf course. So, it was very well attended. Again, I wish to thank the county and echo what Matthew had said with regards to the property insurance. We have already found ways to spend that money, but in a good way for our giving it back to the community with a number of new e-resources that up until now, we wouldn't have had the money to do that. So I really like that we're able to do that. I also was able to do a presentation at the RDS Speakers Bureau, which is the former East Lake Woodlands, to talk about our whole history of the library, all the programs and services that we offer, and of course, do a pitch for our capital campaign and the building expansion. And going forward, if you agree, July 3rd, Chef Lois is going to don her chef's cap, and we're going to have our 4th of July barbecue here, okay, indoors because it's too hot outside, okay, and I will follow all the fire codes, and I've invited first responders to come to check it out, make sure I'm doing everything right, and get their free hot dogs. Again, we are going to be working with Mark and try to have a collaborative effort to bring people over to the fields over there and realize what a hidden gem East Lake Recreation is, and try to, get a new branding for East Lake in terms of, it's the library and the recreation better together. So that's kind of probably going to be our theme. That's going to be for now.
That's great.
Actually, I have an extra highlight for East Lake Library that
Oh.
you shared during our LDAC meeting. This is the first year that you reached over 100 adult signups in that first day. for
Yes.
Summer reading.
Yes,
It's a milestone.
yes.
It's really awesome.
Okay, and I have to, again, I can't take any credit. They're wonderful staff. Each one of them has done a remarkable job. The teamwork on revamping the website, the new newsletter, all of the new e-resources, the summer reading programs. I mean, it's a wonderful effort, all working together, okay, in conjunction with each other, collaborating and planning and sharing the responsibilities and a lot of the things that I wouldn't be able to do back then.
Also, I don't know if you mentioned, maybe you mentioned it at last month's meeting, but I think this happened. You had the arts, the kids from the high school.
That's in the report, but yes, we had and you were there. We had the Art Honor Society from the high school every year, just before the end of May, right about the middle of May, before the end of the school year, they do an art showcase here. And these students, this whole room is filled with all of their artwork, mostly, two-dimensional, but we had some three-dimensional items as well. Beautiful art, incredible. I mean, some of them look like Renaissance masters. I mean, I was so impressed, and it's all different types of media. We were packed. We had a reception on Friday evening. I think it was May 15th, and it was really great to see the talent and the skills and such poise these young people have. Our country's in good shape when you see these kids here, and how well they interact with the adults and such. Thank you.
Look at that, 2 extra things you just didn't do one of that. No, but that's all
You
great.
got so many.
Excellent stuff that's going on over here. I like the collaboration between East Lake Library and the rec. I think you guys do need that because you're a hidden gem. She's got it right.
It is.
Nothing for old or new business, correct?
Okay.
Liaison reports. Or do we already have your go through?
Pretty much do, but I have a few more.
Okay.
The, our website, fix the website, not to be confused with the entities,
Right.
is no longer posting the minutes. They are posting the shortcut to the video and all of that, but the minutes for 2025 are not there. And I think that's not right. Overall, I think
It has,
It's been corrected.
okay,
There
I
was,
just,
there was logistics there. Blake was moving to the wrong way. I don't know if it was, anyways, it should be corrected as of 3 days ago.
okay, I didn't look. I
It
didn't
seems-
look.
I'm looking at it now. It seems like that must have been an oversight. There wasn't a decision that I'm aware of that was made. Looks like it's posted through April. We just
Okay.
voted on May's minutes. So now May's minutes will be posted after they've been
I
voted.
sent them back out and I sent them the week before. They email screwed up, so we got them the first time, so anyway. he got
Anyhow,
them.
last week, there were no 2025 minutes there. Secondly, I hear that the directors are involved in some kind of process to update all of their websites. I suggest that FICSA try to get on that wagon, because I don't mean to be unkind, but our website stinks. Oh, that's a technical.
You don't need to be
term.
you don't need to be unkind, we're,
Okay. And I understand that the, directors have hired an IT specialist, and they're dividing up the cost and all of that. And I was just wondering if the board participated in that decision. And should it have, or shouldn't it have, because it costs more than $10,000.
what was the? cost
We
on
haven't
that?
hired an IT specialist. We contracted with a web designer to update our accessibility.
Would you explain to the board who that is and his relationship and all of that, please, for me?
So there's a woman named Diana Silvera, I don't know if that's who you're referring to. She's gonna be going through and doing some updates on both the Parks and Rec website and the Palm Harbor Library website, mostly to address accessibility issues, but also some usability as well. I think she's a few $1,000s but she's a contract worker. She's not a hired position. Is that what you're talking about?
No, talking about your staff member that is now being shared by the rest of the directors.
Yeah, we announced that in the last meeting or the meeting before.
Or must be not been.
We
No,
informed
you
the
did say
board on
that
that.
Blake was gonna be being utilized by all, or to centralize IT.
But Blake was already doing some centralized IT.
Right.
But it was not, it was not ever officially stated that way. He was already supporting the people in the office, the coordinators, previously Deborah and Iris, and now Shelby and Beth, and already doing website updates when needed. And so whatever website updates are needed for the Fix the website, that would fall under his purview. But we just got together and decided, well, let's go ahead, and this had been discussed, I think, off and on over the years. Let's go ahead and do it, and we'll work out the percentages, and those percentages may change over time in terms of how much time he is spending at each of the entities, but that's something we will just work on together. But it's a staff position.
Okay, and this is my big problem. On behalf of the board and consistent with what my job description says, I've asked the director to let me be part of their monthly meeting. I've been refused access to that meeting. The reason I was given is the directors wouldn't be comfortable with an outsider because it's becoming part of the meeting. Didn't the board ask me to observe meetings of the entities, and are the entities allowed to disregard that directive? The board to tell me I let them from their meetings. If the board doesn't want me there, that's fine. But the directors should not get to decide that, because
We don't have the ability to meet on among the four of us without.
Well, that was gonna be my question is that when you four meet, it's just the four of you, correct? There's no, Beth's not there, Shelby's not there.
Sometimes we meet with our employees, Beth and Shelby, yeah.
Okay, but I mean, so,
Yeah, so we have a monthly meeting with Nancy, and we have a monthly meeting with Beth and Shelby, and occasionally we'll meet on our own additionally.
okay. So which meeting were you not granted access to or,
My job description says I go to the meetings, which would mean every one of them, actually. How is the board knowing what's going on? If the person you hired to do it is
I don't
not.
think that, yeah. Maybe that was the advisory boards. I don't think that was the intent of going to meetings. That was more on the advisory boards.
That's not what my job description says.
I think that was the intent.
John, can I say something?
Sure.
So I was under the impression, Ron, that the liaison position was created, and I don't have your contractual agreement in front of me, to be a liaison between the Board of County Commission and the FICSA board, and between the advisory boards and the FICSA board.
Right.
I mean, I don't care if you come to my personal staff meetings, it doesn't really serve the board, it's a waste of your time. And the same thing with the directors meetings, how will the board know what's going on? I would think they would be talking to the directors. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see the need to waste the few hours we have a month that we're paying you to be a liaison with the county and the advisory boards to come and repeat what we're already talking to our board members about.
We also, when we meet, we're usually working things out. So when we work things out, that's when we go to our advisory council, and that's when we go to our executive. So it's a staff meeting, you know, there are things that are not ready for prime time that we haven't figured out yet.
In here, hold on. Entity liaison. Essential duties and responsibilities. Attend each entity advisory board monthly meeting. I'm doing the main bullets, not the sub bullets, the main bullets. Attend each entity advisory board monthly meeting. Attend each monthly director meeting. And attend each FICSA board meeting. So.
What is the monthly director meeting then? Is that the meeting with Nancy, or is the meeting with our employees?
Should be both.
Well, it says each monthly director meeting, but it's.
The monthly director meeting with our employees didn't exist, you know, when that was written on the thing.
To me, that sounds like our monthly FICSA directors meeting, okay? Which we've been doing for years. I mean, we've been doing that for years.
The one with Nancy?
No, the one with the directors, okay? one
Just
that
the
we
four
do
of
with-
you.
Yeah, the one we do with Nancy is the county liaison meeting.
And what would be the problem with the opinion about it?
Don't have any problems.
Because to me, you know, if Matthew, if you're having a director's meeting with your staff, is that meeting, or is it meeting with all the directors?
No, the staff meeting.
Attend each monthly director meeting,
Mhm.
director, not plural, it's director meeting. So I think it's individualized with the four directors.
Oh, perhaps.
I
thought
think
it
is
was
what we're
plural.
pointing
Okay.
to on here, but like, in the way it's worded, it doesn't say S, it just says director.
And during the discussions, when I was being hired and as I was being hired, it said you might even want to go to staff meetings.
Mhm.
Maybe
Well,
that's-
Ron's always been welcome. He comes to our friends meeting as well. That was on his list.
I'm a member of Friends. Okay,
But you can be there as a liaison.
listen, I think it would benefit to fix a board to have another set of eyes and ears. That's all I'm saying. And if
In what way would it benefit the fixed board?
a more complete picture.
What's missing?
I
What are
don't
you
know,
not
I
hearing?
haven't been.
So are you asking the board to instruct us that we cannot meet without you? Like if we want to have a meeting between the four of us?
No, what he's saying is that he just wanted to come and swing by a meeting and he was told he couldn't come to a meeting that he's clearly supposed to do. And so it's making him probably feel like, why would I not be allowed?
Why would I not be wrong?
I mean, I would say the same with anybody. I wouldn't want anybody at those meetings because we're all working through things that we haven't figured out yet. And So-
and to some degree, I have a problem with that too, because I will think, I want to be a part of the solution to some of those things.
Is that your description, to be a part of the solution for our processes, or, you know, what we're trying to work out?
I think we're just having that discussion. I think the directors could use some looking at.
I mean, I have to be honest, it feels really micromanagerial. Like we wouldn't have the ability to meet on our own without anybody, you know. present.
I have
Yeah.
been here for almost 2 years, and not one time in those 2 years have I come back to PHCSA and said the directors aren't doing it right, or I think they're doing this.
No, I
wrong."
understand that. Yeah, I'm not talking about you specifically, Ron, I'm talking about anybody.
I know, but I'm saying I think my function is to go out and gather all the information that's there. And when it's appropriate, I can talk to the board about it, either individually or as a thing. And today it's a thing, but usually it's individual.
I don't think we're gonna get an answer tonight. I think we're gonna need to look at this with all the board. We'll set it up on the agenda for next month.
I'll send this out as part of the.
Right.
And that way, John.
And then we can make a final decision at the next board meeting. Okay?
Right,
Are you
and
good
in
with that?
case there's any doubt, if the answer is no, I'm fine with that.
No, we understand, but we wanna have a chance to be able to evaluate everything. You know, we have one copy and we're kind of passing it back and forth. Be better to have all the directors have the information in front of them, and that way we're coming in with open knowledge.
And I'll just for clarification, I'll tell everybody what I told you when we met, because you brought it up to me when we had a one-on-one, which is that, my feeling was that I didn't want anybody extra at those meetings, because when we meet with Beth and Shelby, usually they're then kind of dismissed after the first few minutes and we continue our meeting. But that's our chance to meet with them and they also meet with each other. But, it's, the idea was that, I was trying to communicate that I was not refusing, but that it was not something I would have preferred. But I wouldn't mind if you wanted to come a meeting or come to an occasional meeting, especially if you had something you wanted to discuss with us. Or if you wanted to create an agenda to go over things with us, or even that we could have a meeting with you, you know, from time to time, maybe that's quarterly or something like that, to be able to be in the know, especially if you have specific, you know, scopes there. But we don't always have an agenda for these meetings. We're working things out. We're updating each other. We're figuring things out. And so, I think that's our privilege as community leaders, to be able to work through things without having extra people. And I'm not really talking about you specifically. I'm talking about anybody. And so I look forward to those meetings because I don't really know what's going to come out of them. But usually once we've worked through things, that's if something has solid ground beneath it, then we take it to our advisory council and then we take it to the PHCSA board. You know, we have a chain of command when it comes to that. And so I just want to clarify that, because when I told you I wasn't refusing, I was telling you that it was my preference that didn't happen. And I don't know what the other director said to you, but it was for all those reasons.
Well, like I said, we'll put it out, we'll put it on the agenda for next month, put it as a new item. And then,
So what was the answer you got from all of the other directors?
Rather than.
I couldn't hear the question, Erica.
Oh, I just said, what was the answer from all the other directors?
I'm not sure Ron ever spoke directly to me, but all I will say is, for me, over the last year, it's been very refreshing for the four of us to have an opportunity to get together and just network with each other, lift each other up if it's necessary, kick back, relax, talk things through. I believe it's made the four of us a more congruent team. I think we've done a great job collaborating since we started doing these again together, because we had stopped for a while. And I think if it's very important to the board, and I know John, you said we'll talk about it next month. If we want to meet with Ron once a month, or Ron wants to meet, and that's the wish of the board, we can do a Ron directors meeting like we do a Nancy directors meeting, and then we can have a directors meeting. If that would please the board, and obviously we could talk next month, but I think there's a great value for the four of us to get together, but no distractions from anyone, from our staff. We go off site, so we're not interrupted, and I think it's imperative to our teamwork to continue that.
See you next month.
You just commented on it.
It's interesting.
That didn't answer the question. I was just wondering, like, what was your answer to that?
I basically said, I don't have a problem either way.
Okay,
Not from them, listen, you know, I'm certainly averse to it.
okay.
Mark,
And then-
do you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with it, but I do agree that with Erica, that it's an opportunity for the four of us to hash things out more on a personal matter as well. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Ron at more of my advisory board meetings. I'm not seeing him at every
Part of
one.
the job description is and to another position will evolve over time.
You don't have to go over the exercise.
So it's time to just reevaluate.
your job.
Yes.
Right, and that's what we're saying, reevaluating.
Yeah.
Correct, okay, right, okay. All right. Ron, anything further on yours?
No, but you all got a copy of this, and there is a whole list of coming policies that have not been.
Coming attractions, yeah.
And so it would be very helpful if everybody would spend some time on that before the next meeting and talk about, I don't think we need that, it's not worth our time, or any opinion that you have about that.
And the.
And my assistant would like to say.
In the top
Wow.
section here, we above kind of where the policies below, so everything above that, I think there's a procedure already written.
No, that's right, yeah, well, if you put the two together, it says that we got those and I sent those out today.
Okay, you sent those procedures out?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Set it up. Okay, thank you.
it was late today.
So if you're gonna review those procedures, that's what you're
Right,
talking about. Thank you.
review the ones that have been written and look at those that are being proposed and say, maybe we need that or maybe we don't, just like this meeting thing. I mean, you know, everybody has an opinion and they're entitled to it.
Thank you. Thank
you
you.
might, and I'm thinking, and I'll have to wait and defer till our chairperson is back next month. But this actually might be a good opportunity for a workshop to go through this, and that way we're not here for 8 hours. Cause I don't have 8 hours to give, but we can give a couple hours and go through it.
Well, and that was sort of the beginning of my plan, that we would do these, I think there's 9 or something, this number here. We've got those, we've got the thing written already, thanks to Bill, and then these others would come in small packages too, but a workshop probably would be better, but I didn't want to knock down on that. That's all I have to say.
All right. Any questions or any other comments on Ron's report?
Great report.
The other agenda item, so we have no old business on the agenda. I'm sorry, we do have old business, but it was already discussed on the property insurance. Great job from all the directors I'm getting with the county and doing that. That is excellent. The fact that you're able to now reallocate those funds into additional offerings to the public and to our residents is fantastic. To be able to shift and move like that, that was really good. Under new business, I have on here code of conduct for the board.
That's this thing that Nancy gave Sandy, and it was set up.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's not just for this board, it's for all.
All the boards, I got you, okay, all right.
It's something to read and keep in mind when you're acting on that.
So read it and behave. Okay,
Should we?
And it will be a part of the policy book.
I'm just thinking,
I don't think we need to have a sign off on it.
because we had the code of conduct, I thought we decided a year ago. I don't know if that's part of this, is an addition. Or
No, this is from the county.
This is just.
This is the county level. We had the code of conduct for FICSA.
There was a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
and board members, but it should have been given to you. And then it may not have been provided to the board members who came, you know, the advisory.
Right.
And it is across the board, every board in the county, this is, you know, for that.
So that goes into our policy manual.
Standing is so.
Good.
Should be, right, that's exactly what should be. Answers it.
And then the last thing underneath new business was the board website, which Ron, I think you kind of already touched on it. Oh, there's one thing that needs to get fixed, Matthew. You could have my appointee was Commissioner Shearer. Commissioner Long is no longer in office.
Ah. Okay,
Dan, you had your hand up.
Do we need to go by the fixing board's desire to have that board please oversee, and maintain the website for us?
I don't think we need to clarify. I think it's been done. It was just a miscommunication on getting the
But if we
information
look at
over.
it as it stands, the website's poor at best. So a refresh of that, we direct the entities to fix it. Fix it.
yeah,
Fix the fixer. I think we should take that kind of on and pass that along or have a subcommittee of people that would work with IT on redeveloping and modernizing our Fixa website.
Based on past 7 to 10 years of performance on the website, and hopefully the best do that.
Well, we have to have input because we have to let them know what we want it to look like.
You wanna hire somebody, is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying,
I don't know if we want to hire somebody.
but we have somebody on staff that is already hired, and we
Yeah,
can just
like it's-
make it happen.
Like,
and
I think
let
if
the
we,
board
yeah,
entities figure out the best way to make that happen.
You can make a motion and get direction.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
if the board directs us to, we can do some kind of evaluation of the website, look at other examples and things like that of other board. But any feedback the board is willing to give us would be helpful, at least at the start, so that we have a general scope.
I make a motion that to fix the board direct, or I make a motion that the 4 entity directors work with their staff to figure out a way to enhance, refresh, or fix a website.
Second.
any further discussion?
Perhaps we direct Ron to make sure all the documentation is somewhere in that mix, or at least a spot is created so that it's an easy upload and organization. And maybe at the next meeting, we all provide some guidance as to what we'd like to see for website.
And some of this is procedures, too. We've had procedures out there, drafts for a long time. People posted the audios and stuff, no, we haven't taken that up. Yeah.
But one thing I did notice
I think we
too,
just need to put some of the
The
stuff
agenda
up
said-
to the point, let's just drive it home.
That's exactly right. The last one was January 20.
That's a perfect example.
Right.
So working to.
Right. So, I mean, and we can even add more about us because, when we were talking marketing 2 years ago, this is something we can utilize, so.
I should say, I think it'll be relatively easy to make some decent improvements to the website. And then there's maybe, again, by looking at other examples that are out there, an avenue for even more. So there might be a couple of phases there, in terms of getting it improved.
And I think that one of the things that is missing from the website is a better demonstration of what the entities are doing. I mean, I've been blown away by the summer reading stuff that everybody did at the summer programs. And if you don't go to your library and get that fabulous book that you produced, both of you, you don't know that. And so if we got that out front on the Fixa part, which is where our website starts, right? we start with our website and then it takes you to Palm Harbor, it takes you to East Lake Library.
They do have their links on there to the right, I mean,
Right.
doesn't have any highlights.
The thing
That's
is,
what I'm saying.
the thing is, the relationship between FICSA and any of the entities is not an easy connection for the normal patron. They don't get what FICSA is. So they're not gonna go to FICSA, they're gonna go to Palm Harbor Library, East Lake Library, Parks and Rec, whatever, to find what's there that fits their needs or their interests. So we have to somehow bring that connection better.
If we
Okay.
never get it to the FICSA website,
Yes.
we'll never go to the FICSA website to look for it.
Right, right. It's like going to a Chamber of Commerce, okay, website, knowing that, all right, this is the Chamber of Commerce for Palm Harbor, and then I can go to all these other places, okay? They don't make the connection with FICSA, and that's a marketing nightmare to try to get people to understand what FICSA is.
Yeah, we don't want to confuse anybody,
So,
but there
yes,
might,
you have to be a way to do it.
yeah, and there's an avenue to having a site that you all can be proud of showing if you're out and about in the community and wanting to make people understand what FICSA is and how it connects with all of us without burdening each of the entities too much to put everything on two sites. So I think there's some probably pretty easy solutions
I
there.
think there are ways, computer ways to not duplicate it, but to
Right.
make sure that you can get from
Enhance.
one place. to
Yeah, you got the
another.
essence of everything on there. Yeah.
And if the fixed site were more flashy, it might be used more. I mean, you guys have nice websites and I understand they're getting better, but.
Mark should say.
Except for
Blake's working on it,
Yeah.
right?
But
Like that was
our
another-
FICSA one is pretty bland and dull and maybe it's functional, but not very. In my opinion. I'm done.
I just ran up on ChatGPT, gave some great intro, just some clean the house kind of stuff, editing tables, some
Yeah.
navigation information, elevating
got our
credibility,
There you go.
optimizing SEO.
I see the committee chair right there.
No, you don't. You just- Then you're
You see
looking
it,
past
right?
me. I'm going to send this to you and we can go from there. But the simple stuff to get it started.
There certainly is plenty of room for improvement.
So, any other discussion, because we have a motion and a second? Yep. Any other discussion, comments? All in favor? Opposed? No. Anything else for new business that did not get put on the agenda?
One question for the lawyer while he's on.
Well, is on our time?
If we bought a new tractor and put a logo on it for a private company, that would be an issue.
It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
It's probably not an issue for us. Because, you see fields, that do that. So probably depending on some criteria as to who the sponsor is kind of. Because we do that in fields.
We do that scoreboard.
Yeah.
Right.
So truck would be, if Furman was a donated truck.
That's great. Yeah.
10 grand discount, 6-month contract.
So you don't see that being an issue, besides being a policy issue, or maybe there's a
Yeah,
alcohol,
controlling,
tobacco.
right,
companies.
controlling who, right, you don't want to spare no tractors.
It's not a snapper.
Is that an idea or one?
He's not Forrest Gump? Okay.
Buffalo Trace.
All right.
I don't think we would want, like, anything that would be political or.
Right, and we would have to come up with, parameters,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about, like the floods. The SDA has parameters on what they allow. I guess we could put Morgan and Morgan that have been injured on the track.
The East Lake Library has policies and procedures, I just was suggesting, you guys might not, you just adopt that.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Why not? They're all on the bus.
Ask Gary.
Gary. All right, X, Gary.
Not F.
Gary.
X.
All right, so the next meeting will be, I'm trying to get it,
July
back. Will be July 16th. At
Absolutely
6
correct.
PM at Palm Harbor Parks and Rec. I get a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Third, thank you everyone for coming.
Nice job, John.
I was shooting. All right, I thought, this is, you know. Hey, man, real quick though, I do have a request. When Shelby sends out the reports of that, does she have a full? Because she sent out like American stuff. And it's difficult unless you're on the computer to open it. But if she can send it out and when she gets 3%, with Adobe, you can combine individual files in one.
Enjoy that. And nice meeting
Almost like. Right, but anyways, if we're sending out PDFs.
When Dave finally goes.
I paid for it, I have 3 licenses, so I can use that. Loan a license. Chelsea.
I think we already, I think we just have to add a section.
Okay, either way.
We just have to add a section.
Yeah, is in that way, you can compile everything and call it PH Parks and Rec, or East Lake Library, or there, and five with the agenda.
Yeah.
Everything is in one. That makes sense.
Yeah, she probably would send me some.
And that's what she was doing. But like, I had to sit, I mean, I was on my iPhone. And I was gonna sit by me, and that.
He said, it would be.
Usually company not in their ground.
Like, I'm just like,
Oh.
yells at me, pay attention.
Right, but if I can, I'll take it off and then I'll find it. And then, you know, send yourself.
Somebody's like, when you need to. It's gonna miss you.
Library.
Take care.
If you have any. Access to the.
You know what?
No.
There's never a time. During rush hour. 3 months ago. Sometimes the old child will try to have a I was on the way they had, so you're talking about. Yeah, I kept saying it's still. Because we're certainly. But no, it's.
Oh, that's.
No, you know.
And who would have thought houses these days, how they really, the values are so.
And also the.
Most densely population in all Florida, everybody. All facts. Right. We were always talking about bring everything up and high, and I'm